Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 1 of the Halloween Craft Countdown for 2021. Every year I do a whole series of Halloween crafts where you get a brand new craft project, often with a free SVG or printable, every day for a set number of days. For this year I'm doing 20 days worth of crafts and it starts today with this gorgeous layered SVG pumpkin covered in sunflowers. This is a beautiful SVG to cut on your Cricut or other cutting machine. It's perfect for either Halloween, fall or Thanksgiving, or even just to have up all year round really, because it's such a pretty floral design. Let's jump into Design Space to see what it looks like. After you've downloaded the free Sunflower Pumpkin SVG from my website, it will come in a zip folder. You need to unzip that folder before you can upload the SVG into Cricut Design Space. If you're not sure how to do that, check the description of this video as I've included some links for how to unzip folders on Windows computers, Macs, iPhones, iPads and Android devices, so you should be able to find one in there that will suit the type of machine or device that you're working on. Once you've unzipped the folder, you're ready to start uploading. I've made a new file in Design Space, so now I can click Upload on the left of the screen. And then click into Upload Image. You can then click Browse to find the file on your computer or drag and drop it. I've already got it open on my other monitor screen, so I'll drag and drop. Now when you're looking at the contents of the folder you've unzipped, there are several different files in there. The one you want to upload into Design Space is the one that starts SVG in the file name. None of the other ones will work properly in Design Space, so it's really important you choose that one that starts SVG in the file name. So I'm going to click and drag that in, and then you'll get a little preview once it's loaded, and it should look like how mine does on the left of the screen here. So you can see all of the different layers are in the correct positions, and it's showing you the completed pumpkin with the sunflowers on top. If yours looks different to this, so if you can see all of the different layers out completely separate instead of one on top of the other, that means you've accidentally uploaded the PNG file instead of the SVG. If that's the case, don't worry, just go down the bottom and hit cancel and then start again and make sure you choose the one that starts SVG. So if yours is looking like this, you're all good to go. Let's click on upload and then that will upload it to the cloud. And now it appears under my recent uploads, so I can click on it to get the green border around it, then go over to the bottom right and press Insert Images, and that's going to put the pumpkins onto my screen. This is ready to cut as is, but it's a good idea to check the size first, not only to make sure that it will fit into the shadow box or frame that you want to put it in, but also just to doubly make sure that it hasn't loaded in really big or really small. Sometimes Design Space changes how it uploads SVG files, so it's always a good idea to check the size before you cut. To do this, click on the design, and at the top you've got this width and height boxes, and at the moment mine's just under 7.5 inches in width and just over 7 inches in height, which will be a good size to cut. I wouldn't go too much smaller than that because it is really intricate with all of the details in the pumpkin, but you could probably go down to about 6.5 inches in width, but I wouldn't go smaller than that. I'm actually going to make mine a little bigger to go in my frame, so I'm going to type in the height. I've got the little padlock icon closed, which means when I change the height, the width will automatically change too, which is what I want. So I'm going to go 7.75 in height, and then you can see my width automatically changed. So this is now ready for me to cut. I can go up to the top right and click Make It, and this will spit it out into all of the different colours. You can then choose the paper size by going into this drop down on the left. I'm using A4 paper for all of mine, and you do need to do this for every single colour. So you see this orange, it's now changed both of these sheets of orange to A4, and I'm just going to go down the rest of it and change all of them. And then once I have changed them all, I can click continue on the bottom right, and then that will connect to the Cricut machine, and then you can just follow the instructions on screen to cut everything out from cardstock. So go ahead, get everything cut out, and then I'll show you how to stick it all together. Here are all of my layers cut out, and I've just roughly placed them on top of each other where they're going to go so that I can check I'm happy with all the colours and to make sure I haven't missed anything out. So now I can start taking these apart so I can stick the layers together. I'm going to use a combination of glue and 3D foam pads to add depth, but also the glue is helpful for layers like this, where you've got all these intricate parts that would be too difficult to stick the foam behind. The glue I like to use is called Collall, and I like this because you can put it all over the card and it doesn't bend or warp it like some glues can do, and it dries completely clear, which is great. And then I put it into these little needle tip applicator bottles, which I get on Amazon, and these are really good too because the nibs are needle thin, so I'm going to be able to get the glue in all of these details. If you are in the USA, then some alternatives to the Collall glue are art glitter glue or barely art glue. For foam pads, I use these ones from Dot & Dab. I've used loads of different ones over the years, and these are my favourite because it's really easy to peel the tops of the stickers off, but they are quite big, so I cut mine in half so that they go a little bit further. Okay, so I'm going to start at the bottom with these two pumpkin layers, and I'm going to use glue for this just because it's so intricate on the bottom of the pumpkin. So let's turn this upside down, and then I've got my little needle bottle that I can stick. So you can see just how thin this glue is coming out, which is going to let me get it in all these little spots. And you want to make sure you get some glue in all of the kind of extremity parts, any parts that are sticking out, because otherwise they might start to sort of come up from the layer below it. And we don't want them to tear off, especially these little leaves, which are quite narrow. See, I've got a few little scraps of green on that bit. Get rid of them. So I've gone all the way around the outside. Now I'm just going to put some glue in the middle. I've missed that leaf. And then I also want to put a little bit of glue into the kind of middle of the intricate bit, just again to make sure it's not going to come up or tear or get damaged. So I'm just going to put some down the kind of ridges on the pumpkin and then around some of the larger parts in there. Now I can carefully pick this back up, bring the bottom of the pumpkin back, and then line this up and stick it down. One of the nice things about glue is that you've got that little bit of wiggle room if you need to move things about. So this should all line up exactly. Just moving some of these leaves, be careful with them that you don't accidentally tear them. There we go, that's my bottom layer, so now we can move on to the sunflowers. The next layer to add is this one, which is making up some of those leaves. So I'm going to use foam for this, so I'll turn it upside down and I will add my foam pads. Let's put that there so you can see. And you want to add a good amount to this to make sure it will have a nice firm stick. And again, just like with the glue, we're putting the foam into all of these little sticky out places. So a nice amount all the way around the edge. And I'm also going to put one bit inside that big leaf. But then you also want to make sure you have some foam pads in the middle of the shape. And that's to stop the card sagging in the middle where it doesn't have any stability. So we're adding the stability with these foam pads. And also it means that once we've got all of the other layers stuck on top, they've got something nice and firm to stick to. So you're just going to end up with a better looking layered design at the end of it. I'm peeling the tops off the foam now, and this is where you can really see how easy this particular brand of foam pads are to get these tops off. And then I can turn it back the right way, line it up and stick it down. So what I like to do is get it roughly into position and then just gently place it down without sticking it to start with. And this lets me check that I'm happy with the positioning, and if I wasn't for any reason, I could just pick this back up and try again without damaging anything. but I am happy with that, so I'm just going to push down to make sure it's all nicely stuck. The next layers to add are your green leaves. So this is made up of 2 layers. I'm going to do the bottom one first, which will be done with foam, so I'll turn that over. If you didn't want as much depth to your design as I'm going to put on this one, you could use glue for this layer instead of foam if you just want to narrow it down a bit, so that is completely up to you. Just like before, adding my foam pads into all these little bits that stick out, and I will put some in the middle too. You want to make sure your foam doesn't go over any of the holes in the cardstock, because if it does, then you'll be able to see the white of the foam when you turn it over, and we don't want that. We want all the foam to be nicely hidden. So once again, I can peel off these tops of the foam pads. Turn it upside down and get it lined up. So you'll see there's still some leaves on here which you can use as a guideline for how it all goes together. And then I've just gently placed that, but I'm happy, so I'll push down to seal. The next layer is the detail that adds the leaves on here, and then also this little gourd or pumpkin at the back. And this time I'm going to glue it. So I've got my glue here. I need to refill my bottle. It's starting to run out a little bit. And you might think that because these bottles are so small, it runs out really quickly, but actually a little bit of this glue goes a long way. I can normally do about 10 layered designs on one of these tiny bottles. So that is pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna stick this in place and it will line up. It's the same sort of size as the green in the other green layer in most places. There's just a couple of bits taken off at the sides to give that dimensional appearance. The next layer is the red and orange leaves. So that's these two, and I've just managed to drop one of the sunflower middles on the floor, so I'll have to pick that up in a minute. So I've got this orange one, and I'm going to use foam pads for this. But again, this is one that you could use your glue for if you don't want to add too much depth. But I quite like the depth on this one. It makes it look really realistic with all the flowers and the leaves sort of popping off of that top of the pumpkin. That's done, so let's line it up. And I'm using these petals along the top and the bottom right, so along here and here, to know where to line it up against that green layer underneath. Push that down. And now I've got my red one to sit on top, and this is going to be glued. You can see my glue's running out. It's taking a little bit of effort to get it down the end of the bottle. I'll put a nice big swirl in those leaves, or flowers even. But then I also want to put some in here to make sure they stick nicely. That's why I love these little bottles. They're so good at filling in all of these teeny tiny pieces. You only need a tiny amount of glue. It just lets that little bit out. And I've just noticed I've got a little bit of the cutout still in there, so let's get rid of that. And then stick this on. So this will line up with the orange one underneath, and on this one it completely lines up. There's no sort of bits that are cut out. There we go. Almost there now. We're going to do this layer, which is the outer petals of the sunflowers and some of the little bits of corn. And this one again, it's up to you. You could use foam or glue. I'm going to use some foam. This one's a little bit trickier because these pits of corn, you can't really fit the foam in them. So you'll just need to be really careful that you don't accidentally catch them when you're framing the design or putting it up on the wall, to make sure that you don't accidentally rip them. So let's get this one, and this time we can line it up against the flower petals. There we are. Next we have the yellow parts of the flowers. I'm just going to check I've got this the right way round. These ones are the trickiest to line up in my opinion. But a way to do it is that these have tiny little gaps in them at the bottom. So you see here and here, and those do kind of appear at the bottom of the flowers. So you can kind of use them almost like little arrows to know where to put it. Turn this over, and oh, I don't know, do I want to use glue or foam? Decisions. I think you could definitely use either. I'm going to use foam, I think. That was a tough call. They are still big enough, the sunflowers, that the foam will fit in it nicely. Just a little bit worried that at this point, because these foam pads are quite thick, it might be getting a bit too thick to go in my shadow box, but I'm sure it'll be fine. So I'm just adding some foam in here. You could put some in all of the petals, but I think that's probably a little bit overkill because the pieces are quite small. Stick this on. There we go. And then we've got this one which goes over here. So that will appear there. And I will be consistent, so put foam on this one too. And then line up. So the tips of the petals line up with what's underneath, which is how you know where to put it. And then lastly, I've got the middles of my sunflowers, and I'm going to glue these on because this is getting quite thick now. So I don't want to end up with the design touching the glass at the front of my frame. So let's just go for glue. And for the middles of these sunflowers, I cut these from a textured brown card, which means they look quite realistic as the middles of sunflowers. They've got that kind of linen effect on them. These are all slightly different sizes. I'm just trying to make sure I've got them around the right way. So the smallest one's on the left, the middle one on the right, and then the largest one will go on that middle flower. There. This is now ready to go in the frame, and I'm going to put mine in a shadow box with some different background papers and colours around it. If you want to know how to do that and how to size all of your backgrounds to go in the frame, I have a separate video on how to do that, so check the link in the description of this video to go to that other one. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to assemble this lovely pumpkin and sunflowers layered mandala SVG. Don't forget to get the free SVG, check the description of the video. And to make sure you don't miss any of this year's Halloween craft countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/Halloween 2021 to sign up and get all of the crafts sent straight to your inbox every day. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the Halloween crafts. Bye.